Hello and welcome back to my writing vlog series. This is writing vlog number 6. I'm filming this on the 16th of May 2025. Since the last writing vlog I have unfortunately fallen behind. I should have been at chapter 22 at this point, but I am at chapter 20. I hope to write chapter 21 and chapter 22 in the weekend, but we'll see if I get that done. And these past 2 weeks I haven't written as much as I would have liked, and that means that I have only written a few chapters, and so because I didn't really write much last week, I didn't record a writing vlog. But in total, since writing vlog number 5, I have written chapters 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. As I said, I have fallen behind, but I hope I can catch up. And I also hope that I will finish this novel by the end of May. Maybe it's a bit too optimistic, but if I write 2 chapters this coming weekend, and manage to write 1 chapter every weekday when it's not a holiday, I should be able to get to 30 chapters by the end of May. So let's see how that goes. These chapters combined make up about 17,400 words. That's a nice chunk of words, I think. That means that I've still got a ways to go. In total, I'm at about 69,000 words, and I expect the novel to be about 90,000. That's a regular sized book. It could be longer, but it could also be shorter. I think it's a sweet spot to shoot for when I write. In the beginning, when I wrote the first few chapters, they were a bit shorter, and the projected total number of chapters meant that I would fall short of the 90,000 mark, but the chapters I have written since then have become longer on average, and so I think that these next chapters around the middle part of the story are longer. Maybe they will keep getting longer or be as long as they are at this point, but they might also get shorter. I don't know. I think a short chapter is generally more fast-paced, or at least a lot of things happen in that chapter. If it's short, then it's more active. And the longer chapters, I hope they're full of action and a lot of intrigue and things like that, but I worry that long chapters are dragging, but we'll see. I can fix up anything that I'm not pleased with in the edits, so I won't worry about that at this point. I just write, and then future me will have to deal with the mistakes and weird things I write if there's something about the timeline that I need to get right, because Iva and Caroline go out on a town and get something to drink. I think they go out and then talk about the next day being a Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And then in the next chapter it's a Friday, and then they have to do something the coming Monday, and then there's something I need to pay attention to when I do the edits. Sitting at around 69,000 words, I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through the story. I hope I am about 2/3 through, because if I'm not going to, I don't want to have to go a lot over 90,000 words to complete the story. As I mentioned in an earlier writing vlog, I like to give the reader a full and complete experience, and that's why I mainly do standalone novels. But who knows, maybe this plot is just so big that I need to make it a duology or maybe a trilogy. I don't know yet. I hope that I will get to wrap up the main parts of the story in a nice way. But we'll see how that goes. In regards to what I've actually written these past 2 weeks, chapters 16 through chapter 20. A lot has happened in these 5 chapters. Chapter 16 is basically a call with the doctor. Iva's doctor calls her to tell her that he wants to talk to her. There's something she needs to know, and he won't reveal whether it's good or bad news. It's just news, and then Iva is worried that it's bad because he won't say that it's good news. They talk about this, and she goes to the doctor's office. She's told that the dark spot on the MRI scan is gone. There was something that wasn't supposed to be there on the scan, but when the doctor wanted to look at it again, the dark spot had disappeared, and he believes that it's a mistake, and he wants to be sure. And so he wants Iva to have another scan and additional scans and take more tests to make sure that it's really gone and that it's not just the MRI photo that's somehow destroyed or doesn't work as it is intended to. So in chapter 17, she's still at the hospital, and Luke and Caroline show up and are there for her for moral support. Iva actually is informed. She's told this before Luke and Caroline come, but they don't know. The doctor told Iva that the dark spot on the MRI scan might be cancer, and that's bad news, but the good news is that the dark spot is gone. He can't really tell her what it is for sure. So he wants, as I said, to do extra tests and do extra scans of her brain, so they can get to the bottom of this and find out what it is. In chapter 17, she waits to get these results from the first scan she has gotten, and Luke and Caroline are there for her and they support her. And I can't really remember which news she gets in which chapter, but the chapter ends with Luke taking Iva to work. It's a Friday, and she just wants to go home because she has gotten this bit of news that's not entirely bad, but it's not entirely good, and she isn't sure whether she can focus, but she thinks that it might be a good thing to have something else to focus on. She goes to work, and then in chapter 18 she is at work, and she talks to her boss, Brad. Brad is displeased with her because she forgot to tell her about an important meeting. The meeting has been postponed or moved or something, and Brad didn't get this information, and so the project might be lost, and they have to work all night to save this project and do whatever they can to win back the client. All of this is because Shelley, one of Iva's colleagues, told her to tell Brad about this meeting, and she totally forgot to tell him. And Shelley hasn't come to work for several days, and Iva also worries whether she is okay or what's going on with her. That's basically chapter 18. And chapter 19, she talks to Brad, and they agree that they have to check up on Shelley to make sure that she's all right. And so, this is the Monday after. They pulled that all-nighter and did what they could to save the project, but that's not important for the main storyline. And so Monday morning, Iva wants to know whether Shelley has called or texted Brad to let him know whether she's coming to work or not. And he forgot to tell Iva that he hasn't heard from Shelley. And so Iva decides to go and see Shelley and talk to her and make sure that everything is okay. This all happens in chapter 19. She goes over to Shelley's place, and she meets Shelley's upstairs neighbor, a young man who likes Shelley and is worried about her too. And so they wait this upstairs neighbor calls the landlord, and the landlord comes over with the master key and unlocks the door so they can get into Shelley's apartment. And shocker, Ivor and the landlord find Shelley dead. It's strange because she has been dead for a few days, but she has texted and called Brad to let him know, or sent him an email to let him know that she wasn't coming to work, but she is dead. So something strange is going on. And so in chapter 20, Ivor goes to a restaurant to meet up with Luke to get her mind off of things and have a nice meal and talk to Luke and maybe evolve the relationship further. But then another surprise moment happened in the novel that I didn't see coming. Ivor actually doesn't get to go to Luke to talk to him before she's disturbed. And so there's a new thing that she has to deal with. I won't go into details, I won't spoil the story too much, but let's just say that this story has turned into a ghost story. I didn't plan on that, but I have made hints, so hopefully this twist isn't entirely out of the blue. But I'm going with it, and like I've said earlier, I only had an overall idea of what this story would be. Something about a young woman seeing colored auras around people, and then she had to find out what it means. So that's not much to build an entire story on if you don't have something else, and I've definitely added to that. Like I said earlier, I hope I can take all of this and then make it a unified whole that makes sense and that's well written, of course, but the details of how to phrase a sentence or something like that is pretty simple to fix in the edits. I'm more worried about the overarching story and the main storylines and plot beats and stuff like that. Figuring out the timeline for when things happen won't affect the story too much. I don't hope so, at least. This thing about her going to work on one day and then it's 2 days later, but it's an entirely different day. It doesn't make sense, so I have to tweak a bit. I hope it's just a question of writing. The weekend is this number of days away and not something else. I don't remember exactly, but I just write and then worry about those things later. I've touched upon this earlier, but I hope I can wrap all of this up and tie a neat little bow on it, and then and then be done with the overall story, and then hopefully it's just a question of fixing the smaller things, but we'll see. The future version of me will have to worry about the big picture edits as well as the minor edits and proofreading and stuff like that. That was it for this writing vlog. I hope you liked it, and I hope you will like and watch the coming ones. And if you haven't watched writing vlogs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're welcome to go back and watch those. So until next time, take care, and thank you for watching.